Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to Talk of the Devils, brought to you by talkofthedevils.co.uk, your number one independent Man United podcast. I can't get my words out, boys. Obviously, absolutely over the moon. Good result. Played fantastically well today, and I'm so pleased that we can bring some positivity back. And the jokes of me having a bad stat is no more. Sorry. Keane, talk to me. How do you feel? How do you think we play, my
man? I'm ecstatic. All I'm going to say is the Peroni is live on the show. So I never have been on a match reaction with any of you lads, and we've won a game. So that is absolutely unreal. And look,
don't laugh.
I did say on the show with Phil the other day that we get a result, and we got a result. And I'm actually proud of the team today. They really redeemed themselves after the last two games. Like, they really redeemed themselves. And, you know, I want to see more of that now because they showed they can run the hard yards. They covered way more ground than Liverpool. And just proud of that, man. Really, really proud.
Yeah, some really great performances all over the pitch. JK in the comments, not seen you here before, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Character, absolutely. We did show a lot of character today, a lot of fight, particularly Malacia. I thought he was excellent, really, really great today, and we will talk about him as we go on. Just put Casemiro in that. We'll only get better. Obviously, yeah, we're pleased that we've got him over the line. That's done. And it will be a great acquisition to have in the centre of that park. Can just play the single pivot would be really nice. Maguire has no chance. We were talking about this backstage. You saw a couple of images of him sat next to Rashford, I think it was at the time. Listen, I think he gets a lot of a stick and hate, but I think Varane and Martinez, they took their chance today and they were phenomenal. He's going to struggle to dislodge either of those two. Malacia is like a hyped up Evra. I'm not quite sure about that. I think he was phenomenal today. Not hyped up in any way. I think he's got great things for him going forward. Reese in the comments as well. Martinez, man of the match. I mean, I could have chosen several players, but I think I would go with Martinez as well. I thought he was an absolute monster. And Stu, I'm going to come to you about this. You always say every time without fail, make sure you show your presence in the first moment of the game. And I remember a particular moment with Martinez. He ruffled a couple of those players. He really got stuck in. There was a part when Milner went to the byline and he sort of gave him a little dig as they went off the field. And that's exactly what you would be expecting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, look, it's a rather an old school terminology. You know, when you're playing at full back, put your the winger into row Z early doors. When you're playing in centre midfield, get your first crunching tackle in. It's the same at centre half as well. For me, Mark, it was always if I didn't win my first header, I'd be panicking for 10 minutes because, you know, I'd have to really take a deep breath and calm down. And then once I'd got on top of the defender, then I'd start playing games with him, kicking him, etc. But if I did win the first header, Mark, I can tell you the second one, I'm going through him. And it was good to see that type of fight and that type of aggression. We've been missing it for such a long time. And look, I'm a fan of Maguire. You know I am. Everybody who's on this panel knows that I rate Maguire as a defender.
Me too.
I look at it from a defender's point of view. But I think Varane's had his best game in a red shirt today. I understand he's on a completely different fitness regime to the rest of the squad. They're trying to find ways of making sure he stays fit. And if we're going to see this type of Varane alongside Martinez, but Mark, what did I harp on about when Varane joined us? And Fred, you're on the same show. I made it very, very clear that Varane needs a scrapper, a dirty, physical, excuse me, Keane, fucker by the side of him. Okay, and that's what Martinez is.
You don't have to excuse yourself with me, pal. Work away.
I made this point, didn't I, Fred?
You did.
You're on the same show, and so is Mark. I made that point. And I'm not saying I'm vindicated, but it's that's the shoots that you're going to see with the type of Varane type play. Malacia, well, nobody really knew what we were getting with Malacia, did we? Let's be clear. You know, we all saw the YouTube clips, blah, 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 blah. But today we've seen, I think, what Tyrone Malacia is about. I like the hyped up Evra kind of jargon. I thought that was great. But there's a bit more about him. He does have that ever presence, that type of skill set that he's got. He's very calm on the ball, and he can utilise the ball very, very well. So I was really pleased with him. But I want to bypass the midfield because I know Freddie will probably talk about that. But let's talk about the front three, and let's talk about a word called static. Now, we all love Ronaldo, but what did Martial give us today? What did he bring us? He brought us fluidity. He brought us that absolute will to win. And he Rashford was born from the womb again. It was those two together were phenomenal. Yeah. And Sancho was equally likewise. So I don't want to get into it too much, but those are my thoughts on the game. And I'm so chuffed. I'm so chuffed. Fuck the Scousers. Fuck the scum. Get fucking in. Come on.
That's what we like to see. That's what we like to see.
It's a bit much for me, right. Isn't it? I'll calm down now. I've had too much coffee today.
Clearly. No, that's all right, mate. You'll get a slap on the wrist later. Don't you worry about that. Probably from Wayne, but we'll see. No,
I was just talking to Devils. Wayne, I'm sorry. Wayne, I'm sorry.
He doesn't. He's so ecstatic. He doesn't even know where he is.
Wayne, I'm sorry, mate. I'm so sorry.
Fred, great to have you back on, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Talk to me about how you're feeling.
I've honestly just lost for words. It's just polar opposite. How can a team go from what we saw nearly a fortnight ago against Brentford to that? I mean, like Stu and Keane said, from the off, the tempo was set early doors. I think the starting 11 was fantastic. It's the first time in a very long time where I haven't got a negative thing to say about all 11 players who started, and everyone who came on did a job. We just looked more balanced. There was fluidity. We had a game plan. And this was the team or the style of play that we showed at the beginning of pre-season. That fluid front three, we were defending from the front. Everyone was closing down. The wingers were tracking back. I think we certainly went in with the game plan. I mentioned it to you in one of the preview shows, Mark, about Alanga starting on the wing. And it was just brilliant from top to bottom. I thought it was Dallow's best game. I'm one of his biggest critics, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic against Diaz. But Martinez, for me, superb. I mean, he was everywhere. Set the tone early doors, like Stu said. I think we need to just get rid of our scouting department and give Ten Hag those responsibilities if his signings are going to perform like that, because Malacia changed the game as well. Absolutely brilliant. And big praise to Scott McTominay and Bruno too. I mean, they've had a lot of stick. I think this was Bruno's best game in 12 to 18 months. And I don't think there's any coincidence given who was in front of him and who didn't start the game. So, yeah, lost for words and just over the moon.
It's, we've got a lot to say when it's a difficult result, but it's really difficult to find the words when you're just come off the back of such an elation, isn't it? And, I'd like to think that we're quite articulate at the best of times, but we're struggling today, so apologies. Loads of you on Twitter.
Particularly Ben. Sorry, guys.
No, you're all right.
I can't articulate anything today.
You're all right, buddy. You're good. Loads of you on Twitter. A lot. Yeah, we can't see your comments. We want you to come over to youtube.com/Talk of the Devils. Get involved. Get your comments in. And yeah, absolutely elated. We'll talk about the midfield today. We've spoken about it at lengths quite often, Keane, Stu and I think I had a conversation with Fred the other day as well. Ten Hag's also swearing in his interview. If you can do it, Stu can do it. That's what I say.
I just read that.
Have a word, Wayne. Have a word,
Wayne. Yeah. We'll go to some of the things that obviously have come out in the post-match interviews and stuff in a moment. But yeah, in the midfield, obviously lots of conversations about whether Martinez might start in the middle. Who was going to start in the middle? Perhaps Fred with a little bit more tenacity. But McTominay today obviously started and played decently. He was good. He made himself available. He did the simple things better, far better today than I've seen him for a long time. And it was really great to see. And there was a lovely splitting pass that he made in the first half that I can't remember who it was to in the end, but it didn't sort of end up as anything in the end, unfortunately. But much better today. Bruno in the middle, a lot more disciplined. and Eriksen as well sort of really controlled the pace of the game. But what are your thoughts on the midfield today, Keane?
Mark, I remember like pre-match, I seen the midfield three, and I was like, Ten Hag is a bit ballsy here, like with this midfield, like it's very risky. And I thought, geez, like if Liverpool get a foothold in the game, we could really be in trouble. But I think McTominay, like what he did today is he got himself about, kept things simple, and unlike previous occasions, released the ball when he needed to. And like I really like that from McTominay. And like even in his last couple of games, he didn't cover as much ground as he usually does, but today, like he was everywhere. Similarly to Eriksen as well. Off the ball, I thought he was actually very good today, making tackles and winning the ball back, and that's not something he's known for. So that was good. And look, Bruno today, I do agree with Fred. Like in the last 12 months, I'd say post Leeds, like Leeds United last season was his best game. That's over a year ago now. Since then, his performances dipped, obviously, when Ronaldo came in. But Bruno today, like on the ball, off the ball, look, there was a couple of times where he did make the usual Bruno mistake. He's going to do that every single game. He's going to do it every single game.
He is going to do it a lot. Yeah, we've spoken about this before. He's a risky type player. You know, in order to play to his strengths, he's going to make those risks, and sometimes they're not going to come off. But ultimately, you know, when you've been doing it for 18 months, a year to 18 months, you're going to be picking up bad habits, and it's going to be very difficult to get out of those. And he didn't do it so often today, which is great to see.
He didn't do it today. Like he didn't do it too much today. And like what I did like from him as well was his desire to go back and win back the ball. And he wasn't moaning as much as he usually moans, which is always an upside. He drives me mental with his moaning. Even though like everyone knows in this channel, I love Bruno Fernandes. Like he's one of my favorite players. But there's some things I'd love to just catch him and say we cop on. Like, but like yeah, brilliant performance by all the midfield three, and like even Alanga as well today. He was exceptional on the wing. Like he had Trent on toast, and like it was just his desire, his commitment, and like I'm so happy with all these performances today. It's just chalk and cheese compared to what it was in the last few games. And look, I just want to see this now more consistently, just because it's Liverpool now. Obviously you're going to be up for that game. You're going to run the extra mile. It's the enemy. This weekend against Southampton, I want to see that in extra bit of energy from midfield, desire, the confidence, the pumping your chest out and taking the ball from the back line. So look, brilliant performance from him, and look, we've Casemiro to come into that midfield now. So if Scott McTominay played well today, which is that's brilliant. But you have a general coming into that midfield now, and that could really up everyone else's work rate by having him in there.
Yeah, very good points. Well made. Great to have you on again, Keane, as always, mate. Yeah, big changes going forward. Obviously, fortunately today, it was obviously unveiled before the game. Seems to be a massive PR moment, which we had with Varane as well last season. Seemed to sort of instill a little bit of life, and I think that might have had something to do with it today. But he'll be happy with what he saw today, wouldn't he? And I think there's a clear space for him, don't you think, Stu?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I kind of echo what Keane says, really. What I would say about Scott McTominay, and I often talk about McTominay having a kind of inability to play himself back into a game of football when he's struggling. What you've seen today is Scott McTominay play himself back into form. There's a huge difference, and I think for him going forward, it's come at the right time, because as soon as somebody like Casemiro walks through the door, you've got a real problem, because that guy walks through the door with his chest down. He walks through through the door with authority, and he's got the types of players, Casemiro, around him in Fernandes and Eriksen, where it will be relatively seamless for him to fit in when he's playing alongside a Kroos and a Modric. I'm not saying that Eriksen and Fernandes are in Kroos's and Modric's category, but they're not too far behind in terms of what they can do. What was more noticeable today was the calmness that we played with in midfield, how we would get the ball and we didn't rush it all the time. Bruno did his usual rushing of passes, etc. Sometimes they come off, sometimes they don't. But when you've got somebody like Eriksen on the pitch, and when you've got somebody like McTominay, the way that he played today, or the way that Casemiro will play when he starts, if he starts away at Southampton, for example, is you can excuse the Bruno issues, because if he tries 5 passes and 2 come off, those 2 could be absolute killers. And when we've sorted ourselves out like we did today, and didn't allow Liverpool, up until 70 minutes anyway, 68, 70 minutes, any real pressure because of the way that we played and because of the way that McTominay and Eriksen were controlling the midfield. It was great to see. Now, interestingly enough, I thought when Fred come on, apart from his little mistake that he had when he first started, same with Wan-Bissaka, again, I thought he showed that energy and that skill set that would enable him to play alongside a Casemiro. He's, and you can see where Fred and Casemiro would link up quite nicely. The problem for McTominay is I don't see that link up between Casemiro and McTominay. So what happens with Scott moving forward, we don't know. It will be interesting to see. But in terms of our midfield play and our midfield balance, I like Keane and probably you guys were kind of panicking when I saw the starting 11. I thought, that's bold. That was bold. But if you remember, Mark, and when I was talking about the 2-1 win, I did say that football is a very, very strange game. It's a long week. It's a long time before the matches. And you could just walk onto that pitch and something just clicks. Even if you've been rubbish for 6 months, sometimes something will click. And that's what happened to us tonight. And I'm with Keane. I want to see that now Saturday after. I'll be at Silverstone, so I'm going to have to watch on the big screen somewhere. But that's what I'm hoping to see now. And Ten Hag's got an issue as well, by the way. You spent 60 million quid on Casemiro, just beating one of the best teams in the Premier League over the last 4 years. What do you do?
Well, I think it's a good problem to have, personally.
Absolutely.
I think, McTominay, we know his frailties. We know about his cover shadow, making himself available, that kind of thing. I think bringing in a specialist DM is what we needed and what we've needed
100%.
for years. And if we have the likes of Fred, who obviously plays with him at international level very, very well together, I think you're probably more likely to see him. You've got Eriksen, which is a very, very, very different type of player again. McTominay, these are all good players to have. We talk about strength in depth, and maybe we've finally got enough for that. I still think we need a couple of upgrades in the midfield, but if he can try and churn that over into the next couple of windows, great. But you're absolutely right. I mean, this is a great headache to have. I'm sure he'll be happy with all the performances tonight, and I'm sure he'll be happy that he doesn't know who to pick next week. So it's a good outcome. Talking about Elanga very briefly, Fred, moving on to you, buddy. Obviously started the game, tracked back. He's probably one of the best at tracking back we have from an inside forward perspective. I think that's why he wanted to utilise him to really expose that and to help with that. Was it a bit unfair that he came off at half time, or do you think? Well, obviously, it's in hindsight, it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Good decision bringing on Martial, but was it a bit unfair to take him off? Do you think?
A little bit unfair, yes. I mean, he had a great half. His setup for the first goal was superb, and I think there was definitely a game plan in targeting Trent, which I think you have to. He is the weakness from a defensive standpoint in that Liverpool back four, and we executed that tactic to a T. However, the manager had a game plan, and I think we were all a bit shocked to see Martial come on, and it pushed Rashford out to the left as well, and Rashford, we reverted back to the Rashford of a few years ago when Rashford, tore Trent apart in the last time we beat Liverpool. So I think Ten Hag has to take a lot of credit. He took a lot of stick in the first two games, but all of his decisions were paid off today, and it was fantastic seeing Martial come back. I thought he was, as Steve mentioned, we were composed. He added to that. You know what you're getting with Martial. He got the assist for the second goal. I don't think many players in the squad would have been able to do that apart from him. So only positive things can come out of this. It was superb, and I think we have to go with this type of front three going forward. Now, obviously Liverpool play with a high line, so they're suited to that. With runners exposing the space behind. So maybe, we need to tinker that depending on who the opponent is. Southampton, we know, are going to play a lot deeper, so that we're going to have a lot less success or less space to run into behind. But this is going to give a lot of confidence to the boys. I mean, Rashford, this was the Rashford of a few years ago, and he took his goal superbly against the best one-on-one goalie in the world. Yeah. And same with Sancho. I mean, that goal, God, taking a touch and then slotting it into an open net. Van Dijk didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Just quickly before you come in, Keane, I know you don't want to talk about Rashford. We will cover him very, very shortly. I just wanted to finish off on Martial. I've given him so much criticism in the past, and I know it's obviously to be excited and positive about the way that they played when they turn up. I still think that he needs to make sure that he's given 100% every time. But when he comes on and he plays like this, being the link-up man and being that sort of medium in between certain players, especially at the end of the final third of the pitch, he's excellent today. And that's what you want to see in your players. You want everyone to do well, but that's exactly what you expect from Martial. On his day, he's excellent with the ball, and you could see that when Liverpool were giving us a bit more in the last 20 minutes. He was sort of coming back, making himself available and turning players and then setting up. And I don't know if you remember, on 2 occasions played Rashford in twice on the left-hand side within the last 15 minutes. And that was really good quality football by Martial, and I think he should be very, very happy with himself tonight.
Just to add very quickly to that, sorry, you mentioned on his day, we need to, hopefully this is a stepping stone now for a bit more consistency, because McTominay on his day, fantastic. The games against Leeds, the problem with him is he can't string 3 or 4 plus games together. The same with Martial. Hopefully now, if we Ten Hag can generate a system, we can create that consistency and put performances like that in, week out.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Just very quickly, loads of you on Twitter still. We can't see your comments. We appreciate you watching, but come over to youtube.com/you Talk of the Devils. Get your comments in. We'd love to go through those. Keane, sorry, buddy, it's taken a bit of time, but you wanted to say something on Rashford.
Had to unmute myself there. I had to unmute myself there for once. Lads, the work rate and commitment and the body language of Rashford was a full 360 today compared to what it was in the last year. To see how up for he was, to see him every time, most of the time when he got the ball, he took on a player, and he made the right decisions today as well. I think that's one thing that I do. Rashford's one of my favorite players as well. One thing I always knock him on is the decision making. But in this instance,
much better today.
His decision making was spot on today. And his interchange and movement with Jadon Sancho and Alanga today, especially in the first half, was very dangerous. And they had really attacked that Liverpool right channel very well. Rashford does have Trent Alexander-Arnold's number, and we've seen that today. And it's just great to see. Even when he missed the chance, he went back. He didn't put his head down. He didn't kick the ground. He didn't do anything like that. That he came back and he took players on. He was getting players around him playing well. And again, we know Marcus has this in his locker in abundance, literally in abundance. We need to see this now every single week. There's a reason why PSG are interested in him. There's a reason why they're interested in him, because there is a player in there. There's 100% a player in there. We've seen under Solskjaer how Martial, Rashford, and that other fella that we had, how well they worked as an interchange in front three. Now the fact we've Sancho, Rashford, Martial, against these teams with the high line, we can really expose these teams. I wouldn't be surprised when we go to the Etihad that we'll play this front three against their very high line. Or when we play against Leeds next month and they have a high line, we'll use this front three. Marcus Rashford needs to continue this, pick up from this now, use this as a stepping stone to further consistency, because last season, look, we can all admit Marcus Rashford was poor, very, very poor. Under Solskjaer, his numbers were brilliant despite having injuries. Now the fact he's injury-free, let's see him pull up these numbers now. Look, we have a very good coach in Erik ten Hag who can help him with his decision-making, but also positionally, and very good in terms of his good body positions to receive the ball. Erik ten Hag can help him with that. So, look, let's hope he can play well. And, look, just on Martial as well, one thing Fred pointed out is his ability to bring players into play today. I thought if he played from the start today, could have been this scoreline could have been well different. But he was absolutely exceptional today. He was different gravy. Absolutely different gravy today. Yeah. And he's seen what his role was and he came on. And look, front three, everyone was exceptional today and they all ran the really hard yards. And look, we've been getting on, how many match reactions have the four of us been on since It's February.
Don't
Let's be
remind
honest,
me.
right?
Don't remind me.
It's been doom and gloom, and we've always but though it's come out of all four of our mouths, these players, they're not working hard. Though they're a disgrace to the shirt. Today they were the absolute opposite. They all worked hard for the shirt. They all made us proud to be United fans today. They need to use this as stepping stone for more consistent performances. This can't just be a one-off. We have a very exceptional coach. We have a couple of new players coming in and top players as well. Let's push on with this now. Look, we've had 2 poor games. Look, we can accept that for what it is. But let's push on now and let's try and make a good season out of this.
Yeah, good points. Well made. You're absolutely right. This could be a turning point. Listen, I know we are obviously caught in the moment of beating our biggest rivals, getting a very, very good 3 points. But at some point, you know, we can't play as bad as the last couple of weeks. There's got to be a turn in it, and you know, it sometimes takes these type of games to really do that. You know, I think the system was great, the setup was great, the personnel was great, the way we played was great. They ran a damn sight more today. They were able to string lots of passes together. They were able to defend well. Do you know what I mean? They can do that. They are capable of this. We've seen this on many, many occasions, one reason or another. They've just been really poor in the last year, okay? And it was really, really great to see. Shane's joined us in the comments. Great to have you with us, buddy. So happy for Rashford. Hopefully he can get the fans off his back for a bit and accept they've mistreated him all this time. He's been mistreated a little bit, but it doesn't take away today and how exceptional he was. Danish Iqbal, great to have you here, buddy. Our 5'9" was a beast. He absolutely was exceptional today. Someone please go and tell Malacia to get Salah out of his pocket. He needs to compete for the Ballon d'Or. I did see something funny earlier, actually. Someone tweeted earlier, some Liverpool channel. Liverpool have not arrived yet. That was 3 hours ago. And I've just seen a few tweets jump on it saying, has anyone seen them? So that made me chuckle quite a bit.
Hey, can we get? The other way I was on a BBC 5 Live the other day representing Talk the Devils. I quite remember the Liverpool fan on there saying was trashing us. Just shouting out here. Can we get me back on with Neil, please? Thanks very much.
Hopefully they can get that arranged. I'd love to listen to that. Yeah, go and catch Keane. He did a fantastic job representing Talk of the Devils the other day. Brilliant stuff. Just to go on a few comments that Eric Ten Hag has made. Fred, I come to you about this first. He's talking about Bruno Fernandes initially. I think the captaincy he's talking about encouraged him, and I think he showed real leadership alongside Rafael Varane today. I think definitely on the pitch that made a huge difference. Obviously, Maguire was dropped. Bruno was made captain. Lots of talk on whether he would be the right man. Lots of moaning a lot of the time. Not sure if he could maybe captain the team, but did he do himself justice today?
Yes, yeah, one of his best games in the last 12 months, or I would say his best game in the last 12 months, as Keane said, since the Leeds game. The armband, I have a sort of controversial opinion on the armband. I think we should, one armband doesn't define the amount of leaders on a football field. But everyone I thought was a leader today. You could see your McTominay's fired up, Martinez absolutely fired up. I mean, I saw De Gea screaming at his defence. So I think there were 11 leaders in the end. Everyone did their bit, and Bruno, he was to the extent he was running. Up until the 95th minute was superb, and I'd love to see the running stats when eventually they get released, because it was just polar opposite to Brentford. I mean, I think as fans we can sacrifice a bit of let the guys off for the bit of if the result doesn't go away, but as a minimum you've got to put the effort in, and every single player put 100% effort in today. And I think Bruno spearheaded that, being the captain as well. So yeah, I think superb. I think the Maguire move, purely tactical, and I think it benefited the team. The last game against Liverpool, I think you have to drop Maguire. He just doesn't. You don't get that agility. I think Ten Hag mentioned that in his pre-match. And Varane was superb. So I think this will be our back four, or should be our back four going forward, assuming we don't sign another right back.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Danish Iqbal in the comments here. Joining from India, it is 3 a.m, still jumping and in tears too. It's really, really great. Really, really great for you to join in. Obviously, very, very late, but we're all on the same boat here and extremely excited. And come back next time. Be good to see you in the comments again. Made some very good points. He goes on to say here as well, apart from Bruno diving, He was brilliant. Unfortunate that, yes, it was a dive. Shouldn't do it, but everyone simulates from time to time. And on another day, it might have come off for us. Stu, any more to add on Bruno Fernandes?
Not really, because I mean, Fred's put it perfectly, and Keane as they usually do. But what I would say is this: if you need an armband to kind of sort your brain out and sort your footballing talent out, then you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be playing at the highest level. Everyone on this panel knows exactly what I think about the captain's armband. I've said it a million times, and I paid no attention to my skipper, because I'm too busy doing what I'm doing. And so if he suddenly needs that armband to make his chest puff out and play a game of football, then it's not good enough. However, let's be clear, he played very, very well today, and if we can get that type of Bruno moving forward, certainly until Christmas, until they come back from the World Cup, I think it'd be great, because we've got a very finite window now to really push on and build momentum and get the points in before we all scatter across to Qatar. And then we've got 6 weeks potentially before we play again. So momentum goes completely out the window. So managers will be panicking now. Jurgen Klopp will be panicking. He'll be wondering where his next win's going to come from. And he knows that next week is September the 1st. We've got 2 months, 2.5 months of real football for you to shape your season, and it will shape your season. So we need Bruno in this type of form to help with our season. One thing I will say, and I know you're going to come on to it later, it ain't just Maguire that was looking a bit glum. It was old Ronaldo, because he's realised he ain't got a hope of starting on Saturday. Just like Maguire.
That's what the narrative's going to be, isn't it, Stu?
Yeah.
The Bruno Ronaldo, that's what the narrative's going to be for the next week. They're not compatible.
Yeah.
We
said that though, haven't we, guys?
Yeah, we have said that.
Touched on it, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. I think that will be the narrative, but to be honest, I couldn't care less.
There is one thing that we've got to consider next week, though, and this is where football managers have to be smarter than most, and that's Ward-Prowse. And you've got to make sure that if you are playing Martinez and you're playing McTominay, for example, or you're playing Casemiro, and you're playing Varane, you've got to make sure those three are on the same page of not committing stupid fouls. Because if you commit a foul around the 20 to 25 yard area, you've got our Mr. Ward-Prowse, who is a bit of a wizard at free kicks. So you've got to consider your personnel, you've got to consider their temperaments, and you've got to avoid this type of thing. I always remember some teams, once they got to understand David Beckham's qualities at free kicks, they used to make sure that all free kicks were 30 to 35 yards away from goal, and we've got to start considering that with some teams. Newcastle will be another one with Kieran Trippier. So I'm not saying that Ward-Prowse is the key element to it, but he also makes them tick in the way that they play. So there are a couple of things he'll have to consider for Saturday. If he wants my number, I'll go in and give him a few pointers between now and the weekend, no problem. But no, that's what I'm saying. Though you've got to look at your personnel moving forward. Each game is different, but I want to see Bruno. I want to see this Bruno moving forward. I don't want to see him revert to type, but he shouldn't need the armband to warrant that type of performance, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Good points, well made. Just going to talk more about what Erik ten Hag has said. We said we want to bring the right players in. The window is not closed, and you need not only numbers but quality. Tactically, you see where you can have weapons in the game. You see we have speed. Then Fernandes and Eriksen have a great pass. Scott McTominay had a magnificent game. I was happy with it, the performance, but you have to bring it every game, not only one game. Every Premier League game is difficult, it's heavy, so we have to bring it to every game. Coming back to Lisandro Martinez, had an absolutely storming game. Keane, he said for a defender, his technical skills are quite good. and his fighting spirit is there, and also his positioning and his battling. Also, aerially is not the tallest, but he has fantastic timing. What do you make of those comments and his performance? I thought he was exceptional. As I said to Stu at the beginning, he really, breathed down their neck, really got in, really got stuck in, and rattled them a bit in the first few minutes of the game.
I thought he was absolutely exceptional. And like, again, Fred talked about media narrative. All Jamie Carragher has been saying the last 3 weeks is his height, his height, his height. Well, if he played for Man City or if he played for Liverpool, his height would not be spoke about. That's a fact, 100%. He was so good today. His anticipation was spot on. So his ability on the ball was absolutely brilliant. He kind of he was kind of like an aggressive Daley Blind today. Like, the way Daley Blind isn't an aggressive defender, but he's very smart in terms of his position. It was like he was like an aggressive version of that. Like, he was, getting about, getting his tackles in, being an absolute nuisance as a centre half. But like, his ability on the ball, his awareness was absolutely fantastic. So, Martinez was brilliant. And look, there is going to be times where we play against a Brighton, Brentford, Newcastle, teams like that who have physical strikers who may give him a bit of hard time, or when we go to Anfield, Núñez may give him a hard time. But here's the thing. In these games we're playing against like a fluid front three, he's going to be on the ball. He's going to be absolutely perfect against these centre forwards. But Raphael Varane, they complement each other very well in terms of their position. They knew where they were. They were in constant communication. I thought, like, obviously Malacia as well on the left-hand side. There was great communication there, and they did mop up for each other at times, which was great. So, like, look, he was absolutely exceptional today, and look, he's an aggressive centre half, but there's a bit of calculated madness to him. He isn't just like erratic. There is calculation. There is a method to that madness. So, look, long may it continue, and hopefully he can keep up these performances and prove he is worth that money. And again, Jamie Carragher, he doesn't have the same energy for certain people in the media. He likes to drive agendas against United, but drive this agenda against your best mate in Aston Villa, who has a worse record than Gary Neville. I'll just leave that one there.
Yeah, absolutely true. I saw that today.
Can I just add to that, Mark?
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to add to it, because what Keane's described perfectly is an ability to understand centre-half play, because a lot of people look at it and think, well, it's just a big brute who goes up, wins the first header, and that's it. He wraps his arms around them, like old Burn up at Newcastle, for example, that type of thing. But if I'm not mistaken, I don't know how tall Ruben Diaz is, but he ain't the tallest centre-half in football.
5'10", is he?
Exactly. He's not the tallest centre-half in football, and he's been exceptional for Manchester City because of his ability to read the game. All right. And that's where Martinez is right. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, Keane, on a show about anticipation and being able to read the game and read the play, step in at the right time, win the ball, either aggressively or with a bit of finesse. And he does that very, very well. And this is why I'm not going to bubble on about Varane, but when Casemiro joins the starting 11, whenever that is, you've already got the combination of Varane, Casemiro from Real Madrid days, and you've got the combination of possibly Frankie de Jong. Who knows? We don't know. But Christian Eriksen, when he trained alongside Martinez in the Ajax, in the summer when he was with Ajax. So you've got a couple of combinations here that will work very well in terms of overall play. So being able to receive the ball and carry the ball. So it's always handy to have players that understand each other's games. And we've now got 4 players in the space of a couple of weeks, really, that will understand each game. It was a big gamble, I thought, for Ten Hag today. He had to take a gamble. He had to roll the dice, because you never know really what the Premier Leagues are like until you roll the dice. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to cause a bit of controversy. The amount of people that call him for Varane and Martinez haven't got a Scooby. Didn't have a Scooby how it would work out. They just didn't like Maguire. They had no understanding of how it would work. But a good centre half, as Keane pointed out brilliantly, anticipates. Varane doesn't anticipate. He's rubbish at anticipating his Varane.
He's got the speed, hasn't he?
But Ramos used to anticipate brilliantly for him. Pepe used to anticipate brilliantly for him. That's why you saw a more comfortable Varane today, not because of anything else. That is why. And I think moving forward, I think it will be the partnership that flourishes, and I think Casemiro working alongside Varane will help. But it was great to see. It was great to see somebody finally reading the game brilliantly, like Daily Blind used to. And the other thing is, you can push up Martinez. You know, people say he can't play midfield, but you can push him up, and he'll be brilliant for us there. So really interesting. I thought the way that they played together and how they were utilised together. But I tell you something, out the two, Martinez was the one that was controlling the play. He was controlling the line, he was controlling the position, and he was controlling the play.
Yeah, good points, well made. I'm glad we're all in agreement. It's nice to see. Eric Ten Hag making some more comments. It was difficult dropping Maguire and Ronaldo, but I have decisions to make. I have a squad, and we have to use this squad. We play 50 to 60 games, so game to game we will see what team we have to pick. So absolutely what Stu said a few moments ago. Harry Maguire and Ronaldo are amazing players, and they will play a role in the future as well, in the short term, in the short future as well. He then moves on to Casemiro. We were talking about leadership. Today we had leadership on the pitch, but he is one as well. He knows the game. He knows how to win. In his career, he's won so many trophies, and that's important. Be great to get him involved, wouldn't it, Fred? Are you excited about the Casemiro signing? We've spoken about him on a few shows recently, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on those points too.
I'm very excited. He offers something that we haven't had in the team for a very long time, and I think Roy Keane highlighted that in the pre-match build-up, that we haven't addressed that type of or signed that type of player in years. So, yeah, hugely excited. He instantly improves our midfield, and that's what we have to do with our recruitment. Time will tell, obviously, if it's a success or not. We've been in this position before where we've got excited and the player hasn't succeeded or fit the system or whatnot. But he's also a leader, and I know that term can get brandished very easily, but just look at the comments of that Real Madrid's ex-players and personnel are stating with him leaving. He's obviously a huge loss to that dressing room, and just doing a bit of research, hearing the type of person he is, he's an academic. He's one of those players who studies the game. He's always willing to learn. He's always asking questions of his manager on the sideline during games, and that's what we need. And naturally, he's got a big good relationship with Varane, Ronaldo. He's got a fantastic pedigree, 5 Champions Leagues. So on that front, you can't ask for more. I do question the signing in terms of the timing and just the way it's come about, but. Yeah, that's probably a conversation for another day. I think we just have to be positive, and hopefully he can help sort of move the team forward, and hopefully we can get 1 or 2 more in before the window closes.
Are we close with Anthony and Gakpo? Are we?
Well, there lots to and fro at the moment. We spoke about this the other day, but basically I think we're in for both of them. I don't think one rests on the other. Anthony's pretty much done. I think there's €100 million. Is it, Keane?
I've heard that. Anthony and his agent were sitting down having a glass of wine, watching the United game on Instagram. So look, if he can come in and add an interchange and attack, that'd be absolutely fantastic.
I think Gakpo as well, after the Champions League with Rangers on Tuesday or Wednesday, we should hear something. Well. Okay. Hopefully, it's just good. It's refreshing to see we're actually signing the manager's targets. So that's a big positive.
Yeah, huge positive. Too little, too late, in my opinion. It would be nice to get these over the line a little bit earlier, not scrambling at the end. But if that's who he wants.
What was my famous saying, Mark? Everything for me has to be done end of June. It's got to be done the end of June. And I've said it before, that as a player, before you go back to pre-season, you need to know which door you're going through. And that's key. Because if you go through the wrong door for 3 or 4 weeks, Casemiro, Anthony, Gapco, you've got another 2 or 3 week turnaround to get used to your new surroundings. Bad news not being signed before pre-season. Anyway.
Yeah. Great points, well made. We need to move on to player ratings in a minute, which is going to be a lot more fun this week. Love that. Just had an array of you that have come in to watch. Richard, recognise your face from several shows. Not a bad game, that, he says. We're on the march with Eric's army. Great to have you with us again, buddy. Smith, Joseph, Martinez and Malasia, outstanding today. We did speak about them. Go back to a bit earlier on in the show. Both incredible today. Martinez, we just spoke about recently, and Malasia a little bit earlier on in the game. What a star, Malasia! What a star, Christ! What a star, Malasia will be. Right, yeah, we've got to move on. 45 minutes in. Thanks for everyone tuning in so far. Loads of you watching, which is really great to see, and I'm so pleased that you're all here to enjoy this with us.
Mark, thank God you didn't say his handle. What?
I was never going to, mate. Yeah, good. But thank you for bringing that up. Anyway, right, we're going to move on. Obviously, lots of criticism. David De Gea today. I better take that off screen to get these silly children stop laughing. Anyway, David De Gea, I'm going to come to you for this one, Freddie. Your rating out of 10.
I'll give him a 7. A solid 7. I don't. First half he didn't have any. He wasn't called upon. He didn't need to be. So solid in that regard. I think there were a few occasions I would have liked to have seen him come out and claim a few crosses, especially for corners when Liverpool were in the game a bit more during the second half. But he made a very good save from a Martinez ricochet, so he saved a goal there. But a huge improvement from last week. So hopefully that's going to give him a lot more confidence. So 7, you could argue an 8, but I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I think everyone's nodding alongside you in full agreement too.
Yeah, I guess Keane. Yeah.
Sorry, what'd you say, buddy?
Yeah, he gets a 7. Yeah, that's what I would.
Good. Keane, I'm going to come to you on Dalot, please, buddy.
I give Dalot a 7. I thought he was actually solid. His tackling was spot on. He didn't get spun too much, which is a surprise considering Diaz in there. I thought Diaz would tear him a new one. But yeah, he was very good today. And even after getting booked, I thought at halftime I was like, we'd want to whip him off very soon, because his discipline at times isn't great. But yeah, fair play to him. Didn't get sent off, and yeah, he didn't do too much badly. It feels weird praising Dalot because it feels like I'm always tearing into him. So, yeah, look, fair play to him. And, yeah, look, it's a 7 for Dalot today. Well done.
Yeah, that's a fair 7. Absolutely agree with that. I thought defensively pretty good. Was very much on the front foot today and played very, very well. Stu, I'm going to come to you for Varane, please, my man.
I'm going to give Varane. I nearly tear it.
Your favourite.
I'm going to give Varane a 7. Now, people will say it's a bit harsh, but I thought he was quite slow to react to the goal. If I'm being honest, he could have closed him down a lot quicker from the save from De Gea. But apart from that, I thought he was solid. So I'm going to go for a 7. I think the lads are probably thinking 8's a more fair score, but I'm going to go 7 just based on I thought he was just slow reacting to the goal.
I'm going to ask everybody about this player. We've spoken to him at great lengths today. I'm going to come to you first, Fred. Martinez.
I'm going to give him an 8.5. I think he had a huge point to prove, and he proved it. I mean, he's had. Can you imagine the whole media, the world media on your back just because of your height? And he was man of the match for me. I think he was absolutely superb. Showed aggression, showed tenacity, something we've been lacking in defence for a very long time. So I would have said a 9 if we kept a clean sheet, but I'd give him an 8, maybe an 8.5 for the push.
Okay, Keane, yourself?
I give Martinez a 9. I thought he was absolutely exceptional today. Brilliant in the air, brilliant on the feet. His timing was was exceptional. And again, to kind of downplay that media narrative that Scout Sports News we're trying to run on him there. So yeah, look, I'll give him a 9. Absolutely brilliant. My man of the match as well. But yeah, so good, and he did live up to the name, the Butcher, today. He really did.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And Stu, for Martinez, what would you give him?
Yeah, well, he was my man of the match as well, so I would give him a 9.99999. I don't do
Just
10s.
give him a 10, Stu. Do it.
Yeah. No, I don't do 10s. I would give him that. Look, when a player gets hauled off at half time, when you're in a defence that's conceded 4 goals, it's terrible. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to talk to anyone in the dressing room. Your head's in your hands. You shower, you get changed, and you're first on the bus because you just don't want to be around anyone. The character that he's proven tonight against, we all know them to be an exceptional team, Liverpool. As much as it hurts us to say it, they are an exceptional team. To put on an exceptional performance like that, hats off to the kid, really. I was so pleased to see. He's my type of centre half. He's like me. He's horrible. He's nasty. He can play better,
horrible.
which is fair enough. But no, he's everything I love in a centre half. He really is. He's how I like to play. That's it. If you ever wondered how I play centre half, that's how I do it. I'm horrible. I'm just awful. Don't be with me. So that's why I give him 9. Yeah, that's why I give him 9.99999.
I just found it fascinating how both the centre backs got cramp. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that before, but it just shows how much of a shift they put in, both of them.
They worked
and
hard.
he saved a goal, didn't he? I think there was another deflection of Bruno. So very good, very impressive.
So I forgot all about that actually. Yeah, very fortunate there. I can't give him less than a 9. I'd love to give him a 10, but I think you're right, Fred, on the fact that we didn't keep a clean sheet. That would have been quite nice to have. But I thought that
that's Varane's fault.
He was, well, I think Varane was more at fault. I think you're right, but I thought he was excellent. His tenacity, he was making his presence known. He was really sort of ribbing getting in and muscling the players and making himself known. And his distribution was excellent. Played switch passes to the other side a couple of times. Absolutely brilliant today, and I can't give him any less than a 9. And as you said, Keane, as well, rightly pointed out, there's been this huge narrative on his height, but it means absolutely nothing. And I'm so pleased that I've been able to come out the side and play so exceptionally well today. Keane, I'm going to come to you on McTominay, your best mate.
I'm going to give McTominay a 7. He was good tonight. Got himself about won his duels, kept it simple, and he didn't hide tonight, which is something I really really berate him over. And he didn't do that tonight. It was his best performance in best performance since Leeds last season as well. Funnily enough, but yeah, he's very good today. Give him a 7, and look, he can be a decent squad player in certain games when Casemiro comes in. I think when Casemiro comes in, he's going straight into where McTominay was today. So, I'll go 7 with McTominay.
We did miss Malacia, and I'm so sorry, Malacia. He's absolutely phenomenal today. So yeah, Fred, talk to me about Malacia. What do you give him out of 10?
I think he has to be the starting left back in the next match. I won't say going forward, so we need to see a bit more consistency before we can sort of assert that. But I thought he was absolutely superb. He was probably one of the better players in the second half of the Brentford match when he came on, and he continued that today. He was overlapping Elanga, he was underlapping Elanga. He was tracking back. He's a young guy. He's fit. He's good on the ball. 8.5 for me. I thought he was very, very good, very composed on the ball as well. And this is what you're seeing with a Ten Hag team, Ten Hag signings. You're getting your physical element, but also you're getting that ball playing ability. So yeah, very exciting.
And that intelligence. I feel that all those players, and Stu will talk about this a lot, is all the players that he's brought in so far. I know they've had a difficult couple of weeks, but you can see that they tick differently, and they really analyse things before they make those decisions, and that was evident today. Malacia in particular, I thought he was exceptional, and I think at least 7 or an 8, brilliant stuff today. Moving on to Eriksen, and I'll come to you on this, Stu.
Eriksen's what you call a steady 8. He's a steady Eddie. He is phenomenal. I think when we signed him, the rest of the Premier League groaned because of the ability that the man has on the ball, the calmness, The speed of thought is phenomenal. It's the quickest in our team. Only Donny van der Beek has a similar speed of thought, really.
Yeah.
And he's got this speed of being able to position himself brilliantly. And I just think for me that Eriksen's, he just gives you an 8. He's like a flat line, I'm afraid, on a heart monitor. He's that good. He just gives you an 8. He's absolutely brilliant. I shouldn't say that after. But
another great fitting analogy.
What I mean is, you just get exactly the same. He never deviates off that path. He's absolutely brilliant. I think he's great. I wanted him years ago, 10 years ago. I felt he should have come to us 10 years ago, and I thought he was wasted at Tottenham, to be honest. I just think that guy, when he's got players around him who understand him, and we're seeing it slowly, aren't we? He's going to be the difference maker for us. He really is. He's a fabulous player. Fabulous player.
Oh, can't hear me. Here I am. Absolutely excellent tonight, and great analogy there. And you might get called out in a few more days. Who knows, Stu? We had that a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? But it'd be good to see.
Anyway, actually, before you go on, did you hear Andy Jacobs talk about Leeds' performance against Chelsea?
No,
he didn't actually use the under 8s phrase, but he said all they did was chase after the ball. That's all Brentford did.
Which is exactly what you alluded to. And if people had continued to watch, they would have known that, wouldn't they, Stu?
Correct.
So anyway. That's for another day. We're going to move on now. Keane, I want you to talk to me and give me your rating for Bruno, please.
I give Bruno an 8. His best performance in 12 months. He worked hard. His decision making was way better than it was in the last year. And look, if he can keep up this consistency, I agree with Stu. Like, he is going to be a crucial player in this squad. And if you keep Ronaldo out of the team, I say this to my missus the whole time, and she kills me because she loves Ronaldo. Like, he's one of her favorite players. I always say if you take Ronaldo out of the team, you see a better Bruno Fernandes, and that's just a fact. And look, we've seen that today.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I think something's not quite right there between the two of them. Not them personally, but it certainly elevated Bruno today, and it was fantastic performance. And listen, I know we can get carried away, but hopefully this is the start of good things to come from him, and hopefully he can keep that up for the next few games and more. Right, moving on to the front three. We're going to have to wrap up in a minute, boys. It's been a fantastic show. Loads of you on Twitter still. Come over to youtube.com/Talk of the Devils. I want to read your comments out. Loads of us in here as well, all in the comments. And it's been a really, really great show. Great conversation. And obviously we appreciate that. So moving on to... we're going to have to do all of them really, aren't we? But I won't do Ronaldo, but we'll start off with Elanga. Fred, you talk about Elanga and give him a rating, please, buddy.
I'd give him a 7. I thought the assist was very, very good. He had a good sort of combination play with Malacia. He was in the team for a reason. He was tracking back.
Hit the post as well, didn't he?
Hit the post. I mean, that seems like a very long time ago, doesn't it? Hit the post.
It does. I forgot all about it.
When he hit the post, I thought this is going to be a repeat of the last Liverpool game where Bruno missed in early doors and then we got battered. But he hit the post. He set the tone. Very, very good performance. I think we're going to see him in and out of the team. I don't think I wouldn't expect him to be a starter. We might see a lot of him in the Europa League, especially if Anthony or Gakpo, another attacker, joins. But he's definitely got a role to play, and it's good to see him develop. Hopefully, he develops under Ten Hag. So yeah, I'll give him a 7, steady 7.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Great to have Ellis in the chat, boys. It's Ellis. What a win that was. Finally, a decent performance. Mark told you you'd have a better result to host on. It was about time, mate, to be honest with you. But here we are. You know what? If we get the likes of Anthony and Gakpo in, I think Elanga needs a loan. I think he needs a loan to another Premier League club, maybe Brighton or someone like that, just to sort of get some experience in that attacking kind of team. So and I think that's probably what will happen. We'll have to wait and see. But he was steady tonight. Hit the post. Listen, we we haven't had many chances this season at all, but to have that opportunity and against arguably the hardest keeper one-on-one in the world and to hit the post, it wasn't a tap-in. I saw a lot of comments saying, how did he miss that? But it wasn't a tap-in. It was difficult, and he hit the post. It was just unfortunate, but that will really give him a bit of confidence. And, I thought he was good. Unfortunate to come off, but it was the right decision because Martial changed the game for me. I thought he was excellent. I'm going to come to you, Stu, on Sancho, please, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going to give Sancho a 7. I know he got his goal, and I thought he was very good. He's still not quite where we need him to be. Yes. I don't know why. I don't know what's holding him back. But look, it was a steady performance, and you score a goal. So, at the end of the day, you do your job. But he's not quite there yet for me. But I expect him to grow into this more and more as the season goes. But I think a 7 is a fair result, a fair score.
Yeah, I thought he was very good today. Not exceptional, very good. Took his goal very well, actually.
He
had
did.
a lot of time.
He did.
But there would have been a lot of pressure there. I don't think he realised just how much time he had, but he composed himself, brought it down, took it away from the player and then put it in that corner. And it was a good finish. And I hope this is a turning point for him as well. We've seen glimpses of brilliance from him. The pre-season he was excellent. There was a period
not there yet, is he? He's not far. It just isn't there yet.
No, it just needs a run of games to really come into fruition, and I thought he was good today. No question about it. Keane, Rashford, please, buddy.
Give Rashford a 9. I thought he was really dangerous, really up for it. Joe, in that channel between the right back and right side of centre half, he really exposed Gomez and Trent in there. Him and Alanga, obviously interchanged and switching there. They were really dangerous, and his energy is something that we haven't seen in a long time. So, on the basis of how much his performance has uplifted, I have to give him a 9 out of 10 for his performance tonight. But again, he's not man of the match because I think Martinez had the perfect game from every aspect of defending. So
yeah, absolutely spot on. Really, really chuffed for Rashford. He needed a big game like that today, and what a way to turn up. You're absolutely right, and you've hit the nail on the head on a few points, Keane, with Rashford all night. He made the right decisions today. He looked hungry. He looked like he wanted to chase ball. He wanted to take on players, and that's when we know he thrives. And I thought he was exceptional today, and I'm really, really pleased. I just hope now this is the turn for him to make a run for it and to get a few of those in, because I thought he was brilliant. Great to see. Right, I'm going to do Martial just because. But Martial for me today, I'm going to give him a 8.5. Obviously, he was only on for 45 minutes. I could easily give him a 9, but I thought his hold-up play was excellent. Some of the flicks that he did, some of the passes that he did in order to get to Rashford and Sancho on the other side were absolutely formidable, and I thought he was excellent today. Really, really changed the game, and that's exactly the type of player we're missing sometimes, just the link, that midfield and the forwards. And we've seen that, especially when he plays with the likes of one I'm not going to mention, but Rashford and Sancho. Really, really sort of gels in that front three, and I thought he was absolutely excellent today. Good seeing him back. Hope he kicks on, and I hope we see more of that from him too. Again, it's one game, don't want to get carried away, and we want to see more from that, but we know exactly what quality they can bring. We're going to wrap up now, guys. Loads of you on tonight. Really, really appreciate it. I hope you're as elated and as happy to watch and talk about it as we've been tonight. A really, really great result. And Southampton at the weekend, we must take the opportunity to get those 3 points as well and really kick on from here. But a brilliant performance, everybody. And thanks everybody for coming on tonight. Keane, Stu, Fred, always a pleasure, and brilliant as always. So thank you very, very much for coming in. Cheers for tuning in tonight. As I said, youtube.com/Talk of the Devils. We want to see you on YouTube next time and get some comments in. It's very difficult for our Twitter viewers to do that. But yeah, we've got loads coming up, and hopefully it's a nice few days now before the weekend and we can enjoy the next one. We'll see you next time.